Hello and welcome to round 3 of F3 here, and we're in Japan this week, so it'll be an interesting test for the drivers, that's for sure. Some very tricky corners on this circuit, and Bugatti, who is leading the championship at the moment, as we can see here, currently, well, I say currently first, but it does depend on whether this has fixed itself, and by the looks of it, with a 1:20, oh wait, hang on, that's not, yeah, with a 1:29.2, he does look fastest at the moment. We'll wait till the end of the session to find out, because obviously the race director doesn't like it during the middle of the session, but towards the end, and once it is finished, we should get a good reading of who is where. Bugatti going around on the softs at the moment. Look out for Jamesy as well. He's been strong recently, getting a little bit unlucky with some actions here and there, getting swiped out on certain circuits, but definitely looking forward to seeing him pull out some good performances in the next few races, and this track as well I think will be much to his liking. So as we just wait for the clock to tick down for the end of qualifying, as Kuna Matata has had enough, he's in his garage. Shojo's also ending his qualifying session. KLC, the only debutant in today's race, he's come in to replace Luke Harrison, who never actually made an appearance in the league, but here he is, and he's in Miles' Ferrari at the moment because we had a few connection issues at the start of the session, but it's all good now, and hopefully we should be able to see some good racing, as everyone on their final flying laps now. And hopefully we'll get to see the positions of where these guys have qualified after they've all finished. The player's just finished his lap, so I wonder where that's put him. St Johnston's in the pits. Bendel is on a hot lap, or is he? No, he's not on a hot lap, sorry. St Johnston, we know, so it's just Bendel, sorry, no, it's KLC who's just crossed the line. Where is Smertens? Here he comes, and that might actually be P9 for him. We'll get a better look once Bendel crosses the line and St Johnston retires. So unfortunately it looks like the clock might have to be run down here. I have been told there is a randomer in this session. Hopefully he'll leave before the end. So there we have it, the full grid for today. Bugatti, the fastest on the soft tyres. So that means that he will be on a probably a one-stop strategy, I would expect from him. Second place is Jamesy, third KLC on his debut, good performance there. Kuna Matata in fourth. Row 3 is Keegan and the player, good performance there from Keegan. Row 4 is Smertens and Cooley. Row 5 is Aaron Taylor and Bendel. Bit of disappointment there from Aaron Taylor, was expecting better from him. Cook Monster, St Johnston, Showjords and Fear rounding out the runners. So we'll just wait for the guys to set up their strategies, and then we'll get right into it here at Japan for round 3 of PSF3. And it should be interesting because we've got some you know, not necessarily quick drivers, but we've got some fairly fast drivers, that's for sure. And unfortunately the 2-minute timer hasn't been obliged to, and now we're going to be starting the race a little bit sooner than we were initially planning on. So they'll be on their formation lap now. For some reason it's not letting us use broadcast cam. There we go. So Jamesy in second in that Ferrari will be looking for a good result here today. So we've just got to find out who is on what tyre. So Zed's the public who shouldn't actually be here. We will try and get him out the session ASAP. Meanwhile, it is Bendel and Aaron Taylor who's actually been pushed down there. St Johnson starts on the medium, Shodrell starts on the softs, Miles on the medium, Fear, Ollie and Cook also. Oh, sorry, Cook is on the medium tyres, so he will definitely be going for a one-stop. So as the cars line up on the grid now, unfortunately it looks like this randomer is going to be with us. PlayStation seems to be mucking around as well at the moment. We're just waiting for the final cars to come into, as it looks like they're all in position now. Bugatti on pole then on the harder of the compounds. We're away here in Japan. Yellow flags off the line. Very slow starters actually. One of the Renaults there, and Bugatti sweeping into turn 1 in the lead. Both Ferraris getting a good start. That's Jamesy and KLC, and Kuna Matata just behind the Toro Rosso. And is that Keegan? Yeah, it is. So I thought it might have been Aaron Taylor, who was actually up into 9th place. So he started 11th, fighting with oh, there's 2 cars off there. I believe that was Smertens and one of the other cars. Let's just go have a look. It was Smertens and the player. So the player involved again. Cooley was caught off the start. So unfortunately for those guys, they're going to have a bit of a problem catching back up. Keegan's up into P5. He's a decent start. He goes for the move on Kuna Matata. Gives him a little nudge. And that definitely wasn't the best of moves. Aaron Taylor's up to P6 already. Brilliant from him. And he's behind his teammate Keegan already. So as they come round into Spoon Corner now, as there's one of the Haas cars going a bit deep. That's the randomer that we have in the session, unfortunately. He does not look like he's giving up anytime soon. As they come round into the last sector now. Bugatti's still in the lead, and KLC has actually got past Jamesy here as Jamesy goes. Well, he doesn't go for the move, sorry, it's KLC going for the move as he's got back past him here. And KLC has got a tremendous run out of that last chicane. And it looks like he might take second place from Jamesy. Has he got that straight line speed? No, he hasn't, so he pulls out of it for now. Jamesy, of course, not his actual teammate. KLC jumping in the wrong car as the session started. Default put him in, unfortunately. And they will follow each other round, and it's Keegan right up the back of Kuna Matata at the moment as they go through the S section here. And KLC getting out of shape and slowing Kuna Matata right up, as you can see there. The red brake bar being shown there through that section, which is normally flat. And Keegan will be desperate to try and get past this slow moving Toro Rosso at the moment. He's really not that quick, unfortunately. And at the moment Bugatti still leads. He's got a very strong gap to Jamesy in second place. As you can see, 1.3 seconds, and he's on the harder tyres. Bugatti looks like he's going to seal that F2 promotion spot pretty easily. Showjaw's made a good start. He's up into P7. What's happening behind him? We've got Bendel behind St Johnson. We've got Disabled Fear, who's up into P9. So good start from him, starting right down at the back of the grid, and he's up into 9th place already. Let's have a look a bit further down. Ollie at the back yet again. Cooley is running round some way behind the leaders, behind anyone to be honest. The player and Smertens, I don't think they pitted because they're right behind Ollie, who is right behind this gaggle of cars for, I believe this is P10, yeah it is. St Johnston back there. Cook Monster as well, unusual to see him so far down, but he's on the medium, so he'll go long into this race on his first stint anyway, whether he goes softs or super softs. We shall see. St Johnston getting a bit out of shape there. Turn 1, Bendel closing quite significantly, but up the front it's still, as we can see, Keegan there almost touching the back of the Toro Rosso, and he's so much quicker through the S section, even behind a car. He just can't get past at the moment, and it's this section here where he loses all the time because he's got to back off. But he's definitely close enough to maybe think of a move into... No, he's not close enough at the moment. He's going to have to think of another move maybe at the chicane at the end of the last sector now. But Keegan has done well so far. He's still got his teammate Aaron Taylor behind him. Behind him is Showjords in P7, so he might be catching them a little bit here. ZZ Public, who is the randomer we've got in the session, unfortunately doesn't seem to be holding anyone up at the moment. Fear's having a good race at the moment. He's in P9. He's on the soft tyre, so he can do a one-stop. And as we see Ollie there taking a very interesting route through Spoon Corner, as we go back on board with Bugatti as he goes onto his 4th lap, with Jamesy right behind him now as they come over the line onto lap 4. And Jamesy has DRS here, so he might actually think of a move. Going into turn 1, he's breezed past him on the straight, and Jamesy takes the lead of the Grand Prix here on lap 4 in F3. And that was a very straightforward move, but he's had to work for that. He's definitely not done that just by Bugatti making a mistake. He's worked his way back up on those super soft tyres. He's of course on the faster tyre, but this will do him every inch of good here, because and Bugatti pushing, as you can see there. He just hasn't got the downforce behind another car, and well, this is his first really, his first stint behind another car, so he is struggling behind Jamesy. The gap still well under a second though as they come into the hairpin now. As you can see, the brakes glowing red, reaching over 1000 degrees into the hardest of braking zones. Flat out through here into Spoon Corner, and Bugatti, is he just dropped off maybe? No, he's still right behind Jamesy. And this second apex is really important to your run because it affects your straight line speed all the way down through this last part of the second sector, all the way down to the chicane in the final sector. And slightly different variations in racing lines there from these two. Bugatti and Jamesy will probably fight this out to the end, as Kuna Matata right behind KLC, and he's got Keegan right behind him as well, and Aaron Taylor has dropped off here. So it has Aaron Taylor pitted. Let's just have a look. I don't know, so he may just have had a little incident. Jojo's up into P6 meanwhile, but KLC's gone very defensive. Round the outside goes Kuna Matata, but KLC able to hold him off, holding that inside line. And that's someone very slow in front. Who is that? Is that Bugatti? It is Bugatti, so he's had a collision with Jamesy somewhere, because Jamesy's miles ahead now. And Bugatti sideways again and through the S's, and he's got KLC up his inside, and he's on the gravel, he's on the grass, and he's down to 4th place now. Unbelievable here. Bugatti, who was in the lead comfortably at one stage, was just, I don't know if he's lost concentration, and KLC's a bit out of shape there coming out of the second Degner. But Bugatti has really bottled this already. Maybe he's got the same issue that he had in Abu Dhabi that time, where he just couldn't keep the rear end planted. And it seems to be another issue here. It's just too much rear ballast. And for him, this could be a huge turning point in the race, because he can't change that. And the only way he can really help himself is by adding a bit more front wing, and maybe just running a slightly lower fuel mix perhaps, but he's still tucked in behind KLC at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on that. Showjaws meanwhile is up to P5, a great start from him. Disabled Fear is up into P7, and I believe that our random is down at the back, so that's good to see. He's not going to be interfering with anyone anytime soon, as Jamesy crosses the line to go into his 6th lap. He's got a huge gap now to Keegan in P2, who is nearly 7 seconds behind. KLC defending from Bugatti on the soft tyres, and he's going to have a look down into turn 1, and he is actually going to have a look. The Williams driver is a little bit risky there. He could have got his front wing clipped, but he's kept it clean for now, and these three will be interesting to watch throughout this race now, because of course different strategies, but Bugatti has got to try and make the most of these soft tyres before he goes on to the slow and medium tyres. The guys in front of him will be on a 2-stop strategy, unless they can somehow make these super softs last to around lap 11, which is doable. It is a doable strategy, it is possible, but I have to say it would be a very slow strategy compared to someone like Bugatti, who started on the soft tyres. He has a look down into the hairpin, but it's covered off nicely by KLC. Good defending there from the Ferrari driver, the newcomer to this league. Have a look a bit further down. Miles is up into P7, and who's that? St Johnston making a move on Bendel for P8. And Miles a little bit sideways out the hairpin, but that's a decent move there. The player is now up into 11th behind his teammate. These two seem to go around all the time right next to each other. And it always seems to be, well, it's not actually at the moment, but it always seems to be the player in front. It's Ollie in front at the moment. He's in the points, and as you can see, a bit wide there through Spoon Corner. They are not that far behind, you know, a few points here and there at this point. Miles in P7 is having a solid race at the moment. So Aaron Taylor dropped off, so I wonder what happened to him. Kuna Matata is some way up the road. He is indeed. As you can see, there's no car in the background. He's actually catching up. Oh, Bugatti's made a move on KLC, so we've missed that one, unfortunately. And I believe KLC must have pitted then, because he's not showing up. Let's just have a look. Yes, we must have pit. Let's try and get on board with him. Here he is, down in P12 now, and look where that's put him out. Right, I was going to say in amongst the traffic, but by the looks of it, he's got quite lucky here, because he's come out, what, you know, about 5 seconds behind our randomer in the session, unfortunately, who's causing a bit of havoc. Bender was going around in P10, he's behind the two Red Bulls now. Miles is still going around in 7th, he's having a solid race. He's got St Johnston in front of him. There's now Ollie in 8th place. So who's pitted from there? It's KLC. Oh, Fear. So Disabled Fear has pitted for the medium tyres. Now that is an interesting one, because obviously he probably, theoretically speaking, could go to the end on these tyres, but will he have the pace at the end of the race? That's what we're looking at here. It's, yes, you can make it, but how? And he's all over the place coming out of the S's there, so he must have been having a bit of an issue. You can see breaking through the first Degner, so his car is obviously very unstable, because most cars will be flat through there, and he's got I believe that was Cooley chasing him down. No, it wasn't. So it must have been the other Mercedes, who is Showjaws. No, it's not. So it is the it must be Bugatti then, because I believe he's our, sorry, not Bugatti, Cooley, but it's Cooley. So who's in the other? Oh well, that is to solve another day. St Johnson moves up into 4th place now. Bugatti up into P2 as Keegan has now pitted. Let's see where he comes out, or where he is rather. He's out in P10 and he's right behind the random, and Showjaws has retired unfortunately from the session, so that is unfortunate. That could possibly bring out a virtual safety car or even a full course safety car, as Keegan is all over the back of sorry, not the player. Where are we going? We need to be on board with, and there is indeed a virtual safety car, so he's behind the random, who is says they're public. So anyone on the super soft tyres now, because of the strategy that they are on, they can pit now, and as you can see, Keegan's trying to get past under virtual safety car. Of course, the public shouldn't even be in this session. Kuna Matata's still on the super soft, so if he can get to the pits in time, he's going to gain a massive amount of time on those cars in front of him, and unfortunately the virtual safety car has just gone in. So has Jamesy pitted? Yes, he has. So Jamesy has made advantage sort of that virtual safety car. He would have gained a little bit of time on going through the pit lane, but not too much. You can see Bugatti there is miles ahead already. Kuna Matata, has he gone through? Yep, he has. St Johnston on the mediums. He's not going to get through, I don't think, because Jamesy is pit exit, and he's actually already on track and hit through turn 1. So Jamesy's done well there. Look, who was he fighting with? He was fighting with Keegan, wasn't he? So Keegan's lost out quite a bit there, as you can see, very tentative through the first corner. He's stuck behind the Renault of Bendel. James was actually in the lead, so he wasn't actually fighting anyone, so he was going to come out ahead of people no matter what. And Keegan has immediately got past the public. If he would have got a penalty, probably would be taken off, because he's not meant to be in the session, but I'm not sure. That's what the stewards will have to look at later. Miles is disconnected, unfortunately, as Keegan goes wide out of the S's, and he's now got ZZ Public right behind him. Bendel just in front still. Let's have a look where Disabled Fear is at this point in time. He's down in P15. He's lost. Has he made a second stop? No, he hasn't. So he's still made one stop. So yet to make a pit stop is Bugatti, Kuna Matata, St Johnston, who probably won't be pitting for a while. Bendel, who's due soon. ZZ Public, who won't be due for a while. Miles is disconnected, and other than that, everyone else is pitted. So unfortunately, Fear running last at the moment. Ollie is, I think, in the session. He's obviously just letting his AI do the work, so he will be disqualified for that if he doesn't rejoin his car. Miles has left the session, we can confirm that. Aaron Taylor down in P9. He's on these soft tyres, but a long way off of anyone at the moment. As Kuna Matata's in the pits. Now let's see how much time he's going to lose. Oh, he's been on the grass there on entry, so that's going to have cost him. Interesting, a lot of guys here going for the super soft to medium strategy. That is a very interesting strategy. We saw that in Brazil last week in F1 with Cliffy and Jack, although Jack didn't make it through. And that is Aaron Taylor going through, so he's lost a mountain of time to the cars that he was racing. He was with Keegan, and he's a long way behind him now. He's stuck behind Keegan's teammate Aaron Taylor at the moment. We'll keep an eye on KLC, as Jamesy's actually 11 seconds behind Bugatti. This could be interesting, because Bugatti will pit within the next 3 laps, and if Bugatti can make those fresh mediums work for him, he could get past Jamesy. But Jamesy pitting under VSC, could that have given him just enough? Could that have given him the gap he needs? St Johnston a little bit sideways out of Spoon Corner, nothing too major though. KLC closing in now on much fresher tyres and softer tyres as well, so he'll be closing at a much more rapid rate now. Keegan seems to have dropped whoever he was racing, as Cook Monster has retired unfortunately. Cooley going around in P2, so it promotes Fear up to P13. Bugatti still leads the race though. And those soft tyres will be beginning to come to the end of their life. They've still got a little bit left in them as Keegan sets the fastest lap at 1:32.9. It's not a bad lap actually. We'll see what Bugatti can do when he comes out the pits. He did lose a bit of time, Bugatti, in his first stint due to a couple of offs. It doesn't seem to be causing many issues at the moment. We'll just follow him round for a little bit, see if these issues are still with him and his car. Looks pretty composed and all under control at the moment. Through the fast corners where he's going to lose it. We'll just ride on board now as he revs out in 7th gear, trying to get maximum amount of speed without losing time by changing up a gear. And he looks very in control of that car at the moment, nothing too major. Kuna Matata, meanwhile, not so much. He's all over the place, coming through the Degner curves. And he's got Samaritans behind him. And I believe Kuna Matata was on the mediums, yeah, so he's till the end. Aaron Taylor pitted quite early for the softs, so he might be going to softs at the end. Keegan, meanwhile, is catching these two because KLC is on fresh tyres, but he can't get past St Johnston at the moment. And Keegan will join the back of that little train fairly quickly, I would imagine. Another virtual safety car for Cook Monsters. Oh, and as you can see there, KLC very nearly hitting the back. Now, will we see a couple of the soft runners pit? So who is on the soft runners, soft tyres at the moment? Unfortunately, Jamesy has pitted. Bugatti would have already gone past the pits, so unfortunately for him, no one else I don't think will be pitting, which is a shame as the virtual safety car's already gone in, so that was very quick. Oh, who's that diving into the pits? It is Aaron Taylor. So he has massively misjudged either A, the virtual safety car, or B, the strategy here, because if he is going on to mediums. So what on earth is Aaron Taylor's strategy at the moment? Because he's gone 6 laps on super soft, 6 laps on softs. He's going to do potentially 16 laps on the mediums. So this is a very interesting strategy at the moment. No, they didn't even manage 6 laps on those. It was only 5 because it's, I believe, the 6th lap now. So it's really not going well for Aaron Taylor at the moment. He's down on the points at the moment. Cooley has been promoted into the points. We'll try and find Fear. Where is Fear going round? Fear is 12th at the moment, behind Aaron. The player running around in P13. He is back in front of his teammate, as per usual. Miles, we know, disconnected, so he's running around in last place. Bugatti, meanwhile, though, what's his gap to Jamesy? It's only 9 seconds, so Jamesy's catching. Time penalties have a fairly moderate chance of playing a factor here today with the new cars and the new track limits that they've adjusted this game. It is a little bit easier to, you know, not get penalties, but it is still a possibility depending on, you know, how quick you are, how aggressive you are through the corners, especially the Degner curves and Spoon corner, and of course the last chicane are all very easy to get warnings on, so you've got to watch out through those particular corners. But other than that, it looks fairly clean from these guys at the moment. I haven't seen any massive corner cutting / extending manoeuvres. James is very clean through there, and he's 8.9 seconds now behind Bugatti. So Bugatti starting to lose time on those worn softs. He needs to pit at the end of this lap to maximise his strategy. If he doesn't, he's going to lose out because his soft tyres are going to be going off hugely at the moment. He's losing time every corner that he goes through. Those fresh mediums will give him a bit of extra pace. As you can see on the dash there, 4/10 down on his previous best, which isn't bad, but he's 6/10 down as he comes through the middle sector into the last sector. So will he pit at the end of this lap? We'll ride with him to see whether he does pit or not. It would surprise me if he didn't, and of course he does. So we'll ride on board with him, see where he comes out, gets nice and low on the speed to prevent any 5-second stop-go penalties, and he is indeed putting on the medium tyres. So as we thought, it is a one-stop strategy from Bugatti. He drops down to P2 for the moment. We'll stay on board with him. Kuna Matata has he gone through? Keegan's going to be very close here, and Keegan's out in front. So Keegan has got in front of Bugatti. That is a huge, and actually the two other cars have as well. Oh, this could be a very good race now. KLC and St Johnson, who have been fighting each other for the last 3 laps, and St Johnson's just actually been passed by KLC. So these two teammates, of course, St Johnson and Bugatti, is St Johnson going to let Bugatti through? They're on the same strategy, just reversed. So this would be interesting because he'd be holding him up for every single turn they make right now, and Bugatti had to lift through there. And Bugatti will be pulling his hair out with that one. He shot himself in the foot definitely by running an extra lap on those softs. Is he going to make a move on his teammate into the hairpin? He is. Oh, that's very aggressive from Bugatti. But luckily it was his teammate, so he's not going to really squeeze him. Thankfully there was no collision there. That could have been the end of it there for Bugatti if that went wrong. But he's through cleanly, and he's now on fresh mediums, catching up to what is 3rd place now. KLC also on a 2-strip strategy. And Disabled Fear has retired from the session. I believe he was running around P10. Is there another virtual safety car? Because people seem to be slowing down. Yep, so I believe there is a virtual safety car, even though we cannot see it on our screens. I will try get some boards or something to confirm. Yep, VSC, as you can see there on the board on the left. And I believe we're back up to racing speed. Nope, we're not just yet. Jamesy going very slow to avoid any penalty. Still not green. We're green now. We're racing again. As you can see there, the board's flashing green, which means that we are back racing. Oh, so Bugatti's made very short work of KLC. What's happened to KLC? Oh, he's on the medium tyres. So, didn't he start on the super softs? He did. That is a very interesting strategy from KLC. So he's obviously tried to take advantage of the virtual safety car, and it may have worked. Aaron Taylor is just struggling massively at the moment. Compare him to KLC, who is a long way up the road, and basically they've carried out the same strategy. Smerton's just ahead. He's only a couple of seconds up the road from KLC. Blue flags wave for Miles' ghost car. Keegan in P2, he's behind Jamesy, but in front of all-important Bugatti, who is really the pace setter at the moment in this division. Going through the last couple of corners now. And his gap to Keegan is 1.5 seconds, so he's just out of DRS range. But he's on fresh rubber, and Keegan does have to make another pit stop. So depending on how long Keegan can stay out for, this could be pivotal in the battle for the race win, because Jamesy's out in front. He's got a 9.4 second gap to Bugatti's. Bugatti a bit sideways here through the S's, very wide on apex there as they come up through the top section now. Very wide again, but he's managed to control that nicely. The gaps they come through here, 9.3, so he's pulling away, and Bugatti very nearly losing the back end, managing to save it. That's what I meant about the stability issues he was having earlier on, and clearly they're still with him, so he's not managed to cope at the moment. He is really chucking this car around though at the moment, so no wonder why he's struggling a little bit. And Jamesy out front is just in control at the moment. We'll just watch it through the second part of Spoon Corner here. Does the back end kick out? And it looks all good for the moment. KLC has dropped behind Kuna Matata. That was because of a pit stop. Bendel doing a good job. He's fighting with his teammate in 7th place. So these two, who are very clean racers. Jamesy set the fastest lap of the race on 1:32.8. He is flying at the moment, is Jamesy. But sorry, no, he doesn't have to make another pit stop because he put on the medium tyres. So depending on how, he's got to make these last 10-11 laps, mind you. So it's not all said and done yet, but He may have to make another pit stop. Keegan 1.6 seconds down to Bugatti. Bugatti and Keegan dropping off Jamesy last lap. Of course, the fastest lap was set by our race leader. KLC, I'd be surprised if he couldn't catch Kuna Matata. And I believe Smertens is pitted. Indeed he has, so we're right on board with Smertens. And he's going to put on another set of soft tyres by the looks of this. A little bit slow on getaway, but other than that, fairly clean. He is on the yellow all soft tyres, and he comes out in P10. The player won't get past him. So he's well within the points here. Aaron Taylor doesn't have to stop. St Johnston doesn't have to stop. ZZ Public, I'm not sure what strategy. Oh, was that St Johnston losing it? Oh, I thought he'd lost his back end there, and he is struggling at the moment. So whether his setup is just not there today, or he's got front wing damage, I'm not sure, because he was very, very sideways coming out of the top of the S's. Another virtual safety car. So as we allow the drivers to save again a little bit more fuel, and potentially Jamesy. No, Jamesy won't make it. He could make a stop, but it just wouldn't be worth it at this stage. Keegan has to make another pit stop. He does make another pit stop. Bugatti, of course, going to the end, but he's got a long gap to Jamesy, some 10 seconds. Keegan taking full advantage of this virtual safety car. He's gonna get pretty much a free pit stop here as the virtual safety car is still out. And by the looks of things, yep, he has got pretty much a free pit stop. So that is put him back up into... He's in third place still. That's brilliant from his point of view. VSC is still out. And we're green now, so we're racing again. Keegan on fresh super soft tyres. He's got 10 laps to make the most of this situation. He's not got a 2-second gap to Bugatti, as we'll go through the first sector split with Keegan, and his gap to the leader is 24 seconds, so he's pretty much a full pit stop behind, plus another little bit of time, because Jamesy, as you can see here, is miles ahead. But Jamesy is on very worn mediums. He's probably done about 10 laps on them, 9 laps or so already, and he's got to do that again, so he's going to be even slower towards the end of the race. Bugatti's 9.8 seconds behind. We'll just watch what the split is as they come through into the final sector. So 9.1, so he's not gaining at the moment. Keegan, though, is the one to watch out for. He's 24 seconds behind. He's got 10 laps to gain, just over 2 seconds a lap, so it is doable, but he's got to be very quick, and he's got to have a lot of spare fuel, which could be doable considering the amount of VSCs we've had. But KLC at the moment, I don't think he's near Kuna Matata. Some 2 seconds. It's not too far. Bendel still going around in P6. Solid performance from him. Smertens up into P9. So someone has made a pit stop. St Johnston has indeed made a pit stop, and he's on. Actually, has he made a pit stop? Let's just have a quick look. He has indeed. So obviously, that strategy didn't work out for him, the one stop, and he's had an incident somewhere. Aaron Taylor up into 8th place now as he comes through the last chicane. Anyone behind ZZ Public, by the way, will be moved up 1 position. So at the moment, Aaron Taylor is 7th, Smertens is 8th, 9th is St Johnston, and 10th is the player. Smertens with the fastest lap of the race. That's good to see from him. He's got a little bit of pace, and he's catching the car in front, who is... Oh, no, he's not catching the car in front, sorry. He's passing a ghosted lapped car as he gets a bit wide there coming through turn 2. And he's solid race today. Aaron Taylor in front of him hasn't got to pit, but he's only got a 4-second gap, and he's on slower tyres that are more worn. Bendel doing a great job in P6 at the moment. KLC, will he be able to catch Kuna Matata? I don't know. The gap is, what was that, 1.6 seconds. It is doable, but does he have the pace? Bugatti, 8.7, 8.6 now behind Jamesy, so he is closing with 8 laps to go. Keegan, let's look at his delta. So he's caught 3 seconds already. Let's look as he comes across the line. And as you can see, fastest lap. He's taken another few tenths out in the last sector alone, which is basically just 2 corners. if you exclude 130R, because it's flat out, and he is rapid at the moment, is Keegan. He is catching, and he will catch them with enough time and space left to potentially make an overtake, not only on Bugatti but on Jamesy for the lead, as Cooley retires from the session. So we might see a safety car, which would make this race very interesting. We haven't seen a safety car yet, it's only virtual safety cars, and green flags are waving, so the virtual safety car has already gone back in. Very quick VSC there. Jamesy nice and tidy through Spoon Corner, no track extensions. Bugatti fairly nice as well, possibly a bit wide through there, no, all good. Keegan meanwhile, does he continue to close? That is the question. He's 20.0 seconds behind. It just looks like he might be struggling a little bit for front end grip at the moment, maybe running a lower wing, lower downforce setup compared to the others. He's not really closed in that middle sector, only by what, 7/100ths of a second. Let's see what the split is as he comes over the start finish line. He might be having to save fuel at this stage, but he is, oh, he's actually dropping off. So Keegan somehow is dropping off, so unless he's having to save fuel, and you could see there the yellow fuel light in the bottom right corner coming up yellow, which means he is having to save fuel, so chances are he probably won't be catching Bugatti anytime soon. Bugatti 7.9 seconds is the gap now to Jamesy. Jamesy of course may have time penalties. Ollie is back in his car, it's good to see. The player not far behind. Miles is P13 but hasn't managed to rejoin us. Mind you, everyone behind this man here will be moved up one position. Bendel's still in 6th place. He's in front of our randomer, and he has been for quite a lot of time now actually. KLC, is he any closer to the back of Kuna Matata as they come through? Oh, he is a lot closer. Wow, look at that. He is almost right behind him now. And the Toro Rosso driver who finished 2nd in Brazil behind Bugatti, is he going to finish behind Bugatti again? Chances are that's probably going to happen with a 6 and 1 sector of a lap to go. Oh, and he's up the inside. Kuna Matata's made a huge mistake into Spoon Corner. A little touch of wheels, but KLC is through into P4. Good move there from the newcomer. Took full advantage of that mistake by the Italian driver. And I thought he was in AI mode then. Maybe he was. Maybe he was just adjusting an assist. And I believe that was one of our crashed out cars there. But possibly not. Smertens is in front of St Johnson still. He's behind. Aaron Taylor is not too far behind Aaron Taylor, but he's probably too far to think of a possible 8th place, which will be 7th by the time all the positions are reshuffled. And then we come on to our 22nd lap now with Smertens. He'll go to the end. But it's these two up front that we're looking at, and Bugatti's continuing to close that gap between himself and Jamesy up front, who looks to be struggling a little bit on these medium tyres. And he's actually catching one of the Red Bulls in front. I believe that's the player. Indeed it is. Will Jamesy be able to get past without any incidents? I would imagine so. I would hope so. These guys are fairly clean when it comes to racing and getting lapped. You never know, an incident may occur. Up to Bugatti's 6.996. The Williams driver has been very strong so far this season. Can he top it off with another win as he gains by 6/100ths of a second in the last sector? Whereas Keegan, though, Keegan is continuing to close, not at anywhere near the same rate he was closing at before. As you can see, 1.2 down on his previous best. A solid podium finish though, I believe he'll get today. KLC has got past Kuna Matata and not pulled away, so Kuna Matata well within DRS range. Can he have a look down to turn 1? Oh my goodness, he's closing very quickly. KLC defends the inside. Kuna Matata takes the tighter line though, and it looks like he's going to go through. KLC unable to defend, and that's a good move from the Italian there. So battle for 4th place then. This is what we've been wanting for quite a while now, actually, in F3. A battle to the end of the race where hopefully no one has a collision and it doesn't settle the result with 4 laps to go. We want to battle to the last lap if we can. And we might get that between the 2 front runners as well. KLC, oh my goodness, I thought he was going to hit the gravel and go sideways. But he manages to keep it out of the gravel just, and I'm talking inches. As he goes for a move, no he doesn't, he's just having a look up the inside of the Toro Rosso, who will be watching his mirrors every single second that he's not concentrating on an apex or an exit of a corner. As you can see, the Ferrari tucked right in behind. As he loses a bit of ground there, he's a little bit sideways through here. KLC just struggling for grip at the moment, I reckon, and it does seem that way. His car is twitching left, right and centre. And will he be within DRS range as they come over the start-finish straight? And he's low on fuel, so he will be saving fuel at this stage. Kuna Matata's back in AI mode, so that will allow KLC to close up slightly. And Kuna Matata sideways through the last chicane. KLC just able to carry more speed, it seems, at the moment, even with that high tyre wear. He can't close with the DRS, he's got to save fuel, so that will be a good opportunity to try and save it, running lean through this first sector really. If he can keep in DRS range, then he can run lean and stay with Kuna Matata, because I believe he is fairly low on fuel. No, maybe not. Or maybe it's just saving a bit of fuel for the moment. Oh, and KLC has got right around the outside, I did not see that. And he's actually up the inside for the last part of the S's, and he's actually going to go through here. And wow, I did not see that coming at all. So Kuna Matata must have made a mistake as we were riding on board with him, or as we switched cameras, and KLC is back through. We'll go back to the 2 front runners. Bugatti has brought the gap down to 5.1 seconds as Aaron Taylor has retired, unfortunately, and that will promote I believe St Johnston. As you can see, Aaron Taylor there, he's lost it in the S's somehow, so I'm not sure how he's lost it there, but that will promote the player into a point scoring position after they go past. He's a long way behind though, isn't he? Ollie Flavel in 12th position behind his teammate will be outside of the points. Actually, having said that, he won't be, because Zed the Public, who isn't meant to be here, will be removed from the classifications, promoting everyone. Oh, and there's a move being made by Kuna Matata. He very nearly hit the back of the Ferrari. And yes, he is critical on fuel also. So these two are going to be jostling for position all the way to the checker flag now. And that's what we like to see. KLC hugging the wall on the right hand side. It's quite bumpy there. And as we can see, Kuna Matata's closing, he's closing, he's closing, goes up the inside, but KLC slams the door close. And that will be it for another sector, I would imagine. Chance for myself to get my breath back as these two continue to fight for the last 3 laps of this race, and it does look like these two will be fighting to the end. Can Kuna Matata stay with KLC now? That is the big question. He's been sort of averagely paced this weekend. He's all over the grass there as they go into the first deck. No, he's binned it in the gravel, and I think unfortunately that is that. Oh, I can't see him catching KLC now, as he'll be saving fuel. He'll have a nice breather now. Chance to just relax, get his rhythm back. Keegan not closing, but Bugatti is closing. It's not going to be enough though, unless time penalties are to play a factor. We are yet to see, and we will not check because it does make for a more exciting finish to the race, because we don't know who and who doesn't have time penalties. This man doesn't tend to. Bugatti, the man in front of him, Jamesy, does tend to pick up a couple more than Bugatti, so we'll see if that does prove you know, any difference in the final standings. Bugatti is leading the championship and will continue to lead after this result. And KLC, as you see, has a huge gap now to Kuna Matata. No chance of a 4th place for him, unfortunately, unless time penalties play a factor. Smerton's up to P7, so he'll be P6 by the time the Public is removed from the results. Bendel looking very twitchy through the last chicane. He's right behind his teammate. These two are fighting for points. Bendel, I believe, is on older tyres. He's probably got more wear because they are softer as well. Ollie has moved up into 10th place with St Johnson in 9th. The player in 11th, going backwards How has he done that coming through the Degners? He's got to be careful here not to put it in the walls. He almost takes out KLC going through as a... Wow. The player clearly had enough. And he will not be scoring any points, unfortunately. Even though he was going to get a point. Because if Miles comes back, he will finish in front. I don't think he will, though. The player very angrily leaving the session there. Unfortunately, his rage quit was caught on stream, so I hope he enjoys watching that back later. As we move on to the final lap now of this 27 lap race, and Bugatti is not close enough to finish ahead of Jamesy on track. On penalties, however, oh, he's sideways through the S's again. That rear ballast is really costing him at the moment as they come through the last section of the S's. Bugatti very nearly retiring on the last lap of the race. That was very close indeed. He's very lucky to get away with that. And wow, that could have been a dramatic ending to the race. Keegan's still third. And Bugatti's just got to calm down at the moment. He's probably thinking, Jamesy's got 3 more seconds of penalties than I have, so he's pushing to try to get that gap under 3 seconds, but he's got to be careful because he very nearly went out of the race there and wouldn't have got anywhere near as many points as he would achieve finishing second place. As they come through Spoon for the last time. It's not going to be enough, I don't think. Jamesy's in front, and it does look like the gap has gotten a little bit smaller. Let's have a look as they come through. It's 2.2 seconds. So Jamesy must have made a mistake, or he's very critical on fuel. And he is very critical on fuel, as we can see at the moment. Is it going to be enough? It's 2.2 seconds. Does he have time penalties that are going to... And he does indeed. Jamesy's going to finish second. Bugatti takes a third win in a row. And that is a real shame. We'll look at the penalties properly after the race. Keegan's going to bring it home for the final podium spot. A solid performance from him. Very good race today. Nice to see that he's back in consistent form. KLC, our debutant here today. Think he's probably going to finish in front of Kuna Matata, even with extra time penalties than the man behind him. Kuna Matata's had a strong race, but it's just not been quite clean enough. Unfortunately, he's made a couple of mistakes. He will bring the car home in 5th place, so that's still a solid finish for him. ZZ Public, who won't be classified. So it's Smertens and Bendel. These two have been fighting it out for God knows how many laps now. And it looks like they're going to finish 7th and 8th, which will be promoted to 6th and 7th ahead of our random. So a good result from them. St Johnston will go up to 8th place, as we can see that Ollie doing donuts, who will probably be disqualified if he continues to do so. Yep, Ollie will definitely be disqualified, unfortunately. Yep, so well done, Ollie, on your disqualification, which is most likely to follow after... And now he's pitting as well. Very immature there from the Red Bull driver. So he would have got 2 points, but I don't think he will have after the stewards are finished tonight. So we'll just wait for the podiums now, and we'll go through the race director in a moment. So after that, it is Bugatti who takes his 3rd race win of Season 7 here in F3. Jamesy was very close, but he had a 3-second time penalty, which demoted him to 2nd place. Keegan picks up a nice podium there, and KLC finishing in 4th on his debut. A good race. I believe ZZ Public has messaged me and told me that he's in F3. Now, I am not certain of this, so we will... determine that at the end of this evening, but it's Smertens and Bendel who actually finish in front of him anyway because of time penalties. Ollie finishing 10th but putting donuts at the end may affect his result, and St Johnson picking up 2 points in 9th place. So that's all for this week. I hope you've enjoyed, and hopefully see you next week in what I believe is Spain, which should be a good race to watch. Thank you for watching. See you next week, and have a good evening.